1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Everybody, YouTube, let me know if you can hear me, all right? Let me know my sound is. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Give me a second. Miss you, y'all. Live on the radio, live everywhere. And we start this thing out, family, with the music. All the cameras working. Should I talk about style? What about style? I'm out of time. She's at the door. I gotta go for mine. I think I'll see her. And I gotta admit that you got my attention. You making me want to say yeah. Woo! 1, 2, 1, 2. As we get this thing started. Everybody let me know if my sound's all right. You guys hear me clearly on the radio, hear me clearly on YouTube, clearly on Facebook, clearly on Instagram, clear on Rumble, clear on TikTok/X, clear on damn Twitch, and some do it live on damn TikTok. We're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna build this TikTok app today. Shout out to everybody on TikTok. This is how we start the show. So we'll get things started in a minute, get things jumped off in a second. So shout out to everybody on TikTok with us. Anybody on TikTok want to join, feel free to join to get this thing started. We'll be talking about that fake coup that happened in Gabon. That's you, David. You now with the spiritual travel. Yeah, what's up? What's up, David? What's up, fam? Let all the family get up in here, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Twitter/X, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Rumble, or whether you're on the radio station or the podcast. We're full spectrum tonight, family. Full spectrum. So get on up in here. Grab yourself a seat. Don't be scared. We're full spectrum tonight. So we're taking it slow. Everybody get up in here. As we're about to get this party started, and we're gonna go, start discussing this thing that happened over in Africa. This one fake coup they had yesterday. 3 days ago. So. Now smash that like button on this damn TikTok. Feel free to join me on TikTok if you want to. We're about to get this party started in a few more minutes. That's how we warm up the show. We get everything started. So make sure you follow the channel wherever you're at. If you're on TikTok, follow the channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, follow the channel. If you're on Rumble, subscribe to the channel. Wherever you find us out right now, wherever you're looking at that, subscribe or follow, wherever you're at. It's full spectrum dominance. You know how we do. We full spectrum dominance over here. You know how we do.
Turn around, treat me like a watch, push me down. On the kitchen floor, right that towel. This mic, and I want it now. Tell me how you want it, show me on my back, on my stomach. Bitch, you know like a trumpet, I can do it all. I can play single words.
You're on YouTube, TikTok, over there. So, it's full spectrum dominance tonight, family. Full spectrum dominance tonight. When we start things, everybody come on in. If you want. Yeah. Yeah.
wrong tweets. They don't win because I come to defeat. I keep it down sweet. Man, we should get some on the cheap. This is a weirdo every week. You know what? Put it for my seeds. No good for the actress. No anything for clout. 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 They do anything for clout. Anything for clout.
All I do need to hear this until I next on my head list. I'm still say what it wants to. Still wet like a big. I should run the whole blog in this straight. They to my name for good day. Till when I stop and beat.
All right, we're about to get this party started. Yeah, I've been catching out your TikTok channel there, David. I've been catching out your TikTok channel there, family. Live on YouTube too, family. Live everywhere. What's going on, Jim Mosquito? You up late? All right, about to get this party started. Let me get out of that. You got out? Booyah! Okay. Oh, I got a camera out somewhere. Okay. All right, let's wrap that up, family. Let's get ready to start this thing like this. Okay, how's everybody doing? 1, 2, 1, 2. I want to say welcome back to everybody to the Black Hot Fire Network show. I'm your host, Mr. Black Hot Fire, always on that ass. And we're broadcasting live from the homeland of the United States of America, all the way over to the mother continent of Africa. We're truly one of the only international radio program, and that's what's up. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube, everybody on Facebook, everybody on Instagram, everybody on Twitter/Periscope, everybody on Rumble, everybody on TikTok, everybody listening to us on the Foundational Black channel, Black Hot FireNetwork.com, and all podcasting platforms globally. So strap on your head gear, get ready for this ride, because here we go. Black Hot Fire. Come on. Woo! Now, as we proceed to give you what you need, come on and smash that like button wherever you're at. It ain't gonna cost you nothing. It's free. Smash the like button, family. Black Hot Fire. Come on. Now ring the alarm. School's back in, stupid. Black Hot Fire. Come on. Now, shots will be fired tonight. Shots will be fired tonight. But don't be scared. We got you. We got you. Shots will be fired, but we got you. It's all good in the neighborhood, right? Black Hot Fire. Come on. Black, hot, fire. Take all my cameras, make sure my cameras are working. Front camera, back camera. Woo! Black, hot, fire. Come on. Everything working okay. That one's too much over there. That was just a little bit. Woo! Black, hot, fire. Come on. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Woo! Black, hot, fire. Come on. Shout out everybody on TikTok. Coming on through. Woo! All right, all right, all right, all right. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Black, hot, fire. All right, much love, family, much love. Give me a second, you guys. Find my damn little music channel. I can find my shit. Yeah, I can find it. But give me a second, guys. 1 second. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully well. Let's see, hold on. Bear with me, family. Bear with me. Oh, my shit. Okay. All right. Some mood music up in this joint. All right. Little bit of mood music up in here, right? All right. You guys gotta forgive my background back there. I can't keep the goddamn thing going. So I can't see it connected right. It's going crazy. So I want to give a shout out to everybody following us today. If you guys have been living under a rock, you see that there's been coups all around Africa. There's been a slow wake up of African people finally on the continent taking back what rightfully belongs to them. And the powers that be are a little upset that they've been stealing from African people for so long and call them backward, poor. And the dirty secret is they've been stealing out of Africa, day and night. Since the 1800s, really, since they invaded Africa back during the Berlin Conference. So you had coup after coup after coup happening. And these coups have been a good thing. Everybody say the most dumb shit in the world about coups. I don't believe in a coup, hold the coup. This when the democratic process does not work, has not worked for African people because the CIA and other intelligence agencies like MI6 and Mossad have had complete reign on the African continent. That's why all these puppets have been installed up our family. If anybody want to call in, feel free to call in. 850-368-9102. It's 850-368-9102. feel free to call in and voice your opinion. Anybody on TikTok, if you want to join, just hit the request to join part, and I'll let you in. Oh. But yeah, but the funniest thing, the funniest thing everybody's worried about is all these coups, right? They're concerned about all these coups, supposedly, because it's undemocratic. But we know they put their puppets in there. These people have been installed for 40 and 50 years. There's no democratic process when somebody's been elected 30 and 40 years. And they've had no problem concerning the African continent whatsoever. They've had no problem with that. Now we're talking about they're worried about the democracy in Africa. Now with all these coups happening, all these fake puppets, oh shit. Hold on, y'all. And this thing ain't tied up in it. Hold on. Uh-oh. I must have pissed somebody off. Somebody don't want me talking or something. I had to piss some people off. Yeah. I had to piss some people off or something. All right. Let's try this. All right. Piss some people off or something. Lights falling out the sky and everything else. So, so with these coups happening, is Africa taking back its power, its sovereignty. And so the white Europeans have been lying so much about the poverty in Africa that's now come to light that Africa is not poor. It's just that everybody's been exploiting the continent, right? So, segue to what happened in Gabon. This is what you call a fake coup. Gabon is a fake coup. It's not a real coup, right? It's not a real coup because we figured with all the amount of coups that's going on today on the continent, we just assumed that was a real coup. So what happened was in Gabon, especially a lot of these damn puppets are married to white people, right? A lot of these puppets are married to white spies. And that's another thing. This shit is just absolutely crazy. A lot of these puppets are married to white spies, right? They ain't married their own goddamn women. That's the disrespect these no good, dirty puppets have. That's the disrespect they have. It's absolutely crazy. So anyway, you have Ali Bongo, right? He had a stroke a few years back. So it's evident that he's incoherent, right? He's not able to really do the functions of being a president, even though the functions are really just stealing, giving all the money, resources to France. Now we go, Gabon is a country that's high in oil, high in timber, another person, also diamonds as well. So his wife wanted to get rid of his ass and put their sons. And it's funny, all these African countries are used as kingdoms, fiefdoms. That it's the father, and then the son, and then the grandson. So the wife wasn't happy waiting on the father to give power to her son. She wanted to go and give power to him now. But she got double-crossed because, it's this whole big-ass family. You research the Bongo family, right? The original president had like 55 kids. 55. So It's been this family that's been in control of Gabon for the last 55 plus years. But you never heard the UN, the EU, or United States government say anything about a despotic regime. Never say it was undemocratic, because the democratic shit is phony. As long as it represents them and their interests. They have no problem with having these damn despots in for 20, 30, 40 years. That's ridiculous. Right? So now the coup happened. It was one of his cousins that launched the coup. We find out he's just as corrupt as the rest of them. And that's how you know it's not a real coup, because instantly he said nothing was going to change. See, when you do a real coup, you reassess all the agreements that the country made with these outside factors, whether it be governments or private corporations. You reassess all those contracts and you make them beneficial to you, because the puppet that you overthrew made all the contracts beneficial to him and his family and the companies and the countries that he's a puppet of. Okay? So that's always become the problem now with this Gabon coup, because they said nothing's going to change. So now France is accepting the coup because it benefits them. And I don't know if you guys know the dirty little secret, like I told Judge Joe Brown a year ago, right? This is Judge Joe Brown a year ago, that the Chinese were in there having illegitimate babies with these black women. Since black people do not understand power, you don't understand power works. Oh, it's just we love everybody and all that ridiculous nonsense. Not understand how power works. The Chinese were coming into Africa to take it over. A lot of these morons believe China's a friend and all this other ridiculous childish nonsense. So they were using a war tactic that's been used all this time. You get the woman and you impregnate the woman of said country. So you bring up a mixed breed, so they will have title to the land and the country. So we find out the guy that actually won the election was a mixed breed. His daddy's a Chinese man, his mama's an African. See, these Africans have been taught so much lies, they hate themselves. So everybody that comes to them is better than them. So it's an easy war strategy. Doesn't even remember Judge Joe Brown said at least 100 million over there of mixed Chinese race. I don't think it's 100 million, but it's quite a bit. So what you find out, so obviously the white and France knew this half Chinese dude won that election in Gabon. And he wasn't going to work on behalf of the Gabonese, whatever you pronounce their country. He was going to be a bootlick for China. This is a war tactic that the African has to understand, because he's been mentally corrupted from colonialism. He doesn't understand war. So they knew he won that election fair and square, right? They knew he won that election. So what they did, they overtoppled that election, because that's why you hear the junta now saying they're not going to redo the election, because they know that half Chinese dude won. He won that election. So you don't have them saying, you know what, we're going to redo these elections to make sure they're fair and square. They said, no, the elections are now null and void. I'm now the new puppet leader. So this was the France and the Bongo family holding power. To understand this move was really, this is the Chinese move of impregnating all these black women and bringing their kids to power all throughout the African continent. It's a war tactic. This is real. So they knew that dude had won, and so no, we can't allow this to even transpire. We can't allow none of this to happen. This is outrageous. We're not going to allow. We're not going to tolerate it. Okay, we're not going to tolerate this to happen. So, but the thing is that Africa has a new web of confidence. So even though this is a fake coup, there's going to be a real coup that's going to come along pretty soon. to actually deal with this fake coup. Because the genie's out the bottle, family. You see all these puppets, see all this fake media you get, like Kagami's fighting against the West, and all these puppets, they show, oh, they're fighting against the West. It's all lies. They're all puppets. Because you see each one of these puppets reshuffle the military. They fired a lot of the head military. Kagame and Rwanda fired 80 military leaders. So all the propaganda that people love him is a lie. They know his ass is in the Congo stealing for the European. Him and Museveni both are down in the Congo stealing for the European and Central African Republic. Both those places, they're stealing for the European masters. How do you think Kigali got developed? Where'd the money come from? They had no industries in no damn Rwanda. Where'd the money come from? It was the stealing of the resource in the Congo. So the idea that his people love him, he knows it's a damn lie. That's why he's shuffling his military. He's a puppet. All these leaders have been in power 27, 8, 30, 40 years. And none of these goddamn Western powers have said anything about these democracies not being democracies. Because it is hypocrisy at the end of the day. They don't believe in no damn democracy. They believe in putting their puppets in who can steal, rob, and kill for them. Leader of Cameroon, been there 40 years plus. This man's like 90 years old. He'll know what's coming and going. You go back and we all go back to all these despots, man. All these African leaders that they never claimed that wasn't democratically elected, serving for 20 and 30 and 40 years. And then give the country off to the no good, dirty, the no good ne'er-do-well son. They'll give the country out to the no good progeny. Never the West ever said anything about this is undemocratic. Because they've been stealing out of the continent and keeping Africans impoverished. The UN, every African should get the fuck out the UN. UN was never designed for African people. It is a fraudulent group. The United Nations is fraudulent. It was set up by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, sit on Rockefeller land. It is a scam. So if you're a real African country, you should get out of the UN. It's never benefited any African people on this globe. They're there robbing and stealing and murdering and killing and raping all throughout Africa. That's their history. The UN, this so-called United Nations bullshit. This scam. This United Nations nonsense. That was supposed to be there to help African people, but it does not. It's a complete farce, a complete fad, a complete lie, right? It don't have to be the case. So now you have the EU talking about they need to go and help fight terrorism. The European Union said now they need to go help fight terrorism in Africa. The European Union. What the fuck does the European Union got anything to do with the African continent? What you see, family, is their fear of losing the resource-rich continent. That's how Europe got rich. Europe is not a rich continent. It's impoverished without Africa. So now that dirty little secret has now been exposed, right? That dirty little secret is now being exposed. Now Europe is not wealthy without Africa. So now the European Union feels obliged to put their non-invited ass on the continent of Africa. And I told you, family, this would be Europe's graveyard if they decide to do so, right? This would be their graveyard if they decide to do so. I can't read you guys' comments on TikTok. If you're on there, I can't read them. So, if you want to join TikTok, just let me know. We'll set it up there. Um, and so if Europe decides to go into what they say Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin, it's going to be a European graveyard. They don't have the numbers to wage any war on African people. They just don't have the numbers anymore. They don't have enough youth to engage in a long military conflict with any African country because all the Africans are ready to fight now. All the youth are ready to come out and fight. And the ones that would be fighting with the EU, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, all their people would overthrow them and go fight against the Europeans. See, it's been an awakening happening. So if Europe goes to Africa, it would be the European graveyard. That'd be end of Europe. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. That'd be the end of Europe as you know it. It won't be able to recover. It'll be it. It'll be done. That'd be it. That'd be it for Europe. It's over. So what you see is the gas, the last gas of a dying horse called colonialism. The last gas of a horse called colonialism. These people are raped, pillaged. Imagine how fucked up, how psychopathic the mind of the European leaders who have left people in absolute poverty while they benefited from the gold and resource of a continent that they have raped and stolen and impoverished. Imagine how psychopathic you must be. And then they want to teach you about humanity. They want to teach you about human rights. There's nothing human or right about them. They have the audacity to come lecture you about human rights, but they still rob and pillage out of your continent. Right? They're going to preach to you human rights, all this fake human rights that they tell you. It's non-existence. It's non-existence. So right now you got the French ambassador on the run over in Niger because he refused to leave. Remember, they cut out the water, they cut out the power. If these are poor countries, why don't you leave? You said they're poor, they're fucked up, people backwards. Why won't you leave then? They took away his diplomatic immunity. They didn't null and void his passport. Then they made this ambassador persona non grata. Why don't you leave then? These are poor, backward African people. They're poor, they're backward, they're savages. Why don't you leave? They ask you, hey, please leave. Just leave. We're poor, we're backward, we're savages. You know, we're all that. Why don't you just leave? Because the dirty secret is they're not poor. They're not poor. They kept poor, but they're not poor. So we got comments. Exactly. They're going to be ready to put in that righteous work. And this TikTok app has done a lot of damage to white supremacy and white power. This TikTok app is better than YouTube ever was. Its algorithm just shows you everything you want to see. Let me see if I can show some TikTok videos myself when they got something that's good. Let's give me a second. Let me try to set this thing up. Try to set the sound up real quick.
par l'armée gabonaise. S'en est suivi l'arrestation de...
Ah, damn, it's in. Hold on.
Je vais vous dire, c'est.
It's in French. Hold on, y'all. Give me a
Comme ça, je
second.
ne sais pas combien de valise contient, donc je ne peux pas vous dire.
Les dernières 24 heures à Libreville auront été très mouvementées. Après l'annonce à l'aube de la prise du pouvoir par l'armée gabonaise, s'en est suivi l'arrestation de plusieurs collaborateurs du président déchu.
So what they said, we can't really understand that in French. This is French, right?
Ces derniers sont accusés de mal.
This is French right here. So obviously, it's all the money that's been stolen, right? All the money that's been stolen from the country.
Dans l'un des bureaux stratégiques du chargé de mission de la première dame, Tingu,
All the cars. Everybody lives in abject poverty, right?
Et ça avait été mis à disposition de la cellule financière et ils ont les clés du coffre, ils entrent, ils font ce qu'ils ont à faire.
Yeah, I don't know who this half Chinese dude is right there. Another Chinese dude.
À quoi servait cet argent?
I hope that's not the guy. I hope that's not the damn dude supposed to put an election. See, it's another half Chinese dude right there. That's been the war tactic.
Comment faites-vous que je...
That's been a war tactic. You guys see my screen right there. Up here.
Ici, c'est chez vous, même si vous avez pas
Oui. Oui.
Donc, vous connaissez tout ce qui se trouve dans la maison, en principe.
Je sais qu'il y a un coffre, je sais qu'il y a ce champ, je sais que c'était de l'argent, bien sûr.
Yann Goulou, directeur de cabinet de Nourdine Bogo Valentin, figure lui aussi.
I got to get a picture that the half Chinese, half Negro that China's now putting all throughout Africa. See, this is a war tactic. It's real. Let's see what we got next. See, this is a war. Uh-oh. Nigerians over there acting up. Now they're attacking the military base in Nigeria. What's up, Mr. Something Else? Attacking the Nigerian French base over there in Niger. Telling them to get the hell out of the country.
Claiming your business.
Listen, I'm telling you, Macron is a very, very bad dude, man. He's a terrible dude. This dude is a mafia. This dude is terrible.
Yeah.
This is Ghana former President Jerry Rawlings.
He's talking about, it's not Macron. Macron was a Rothschild banker. He's just a puppet of the people that make this money from nothing. He's just a puppet. So he talked about how ECOWAS tried to make their own currency, the Western African countries, how France, really the Rothschilds, how they sabotaged it and tried to take over that currency. And before Jerry Rawlings passed away, he had something to say to Macron in France for their intervention in trying to keep African people poor and keep control of these countries. See, the dirty secret, Europe is impoverished, doesn't have any real wealth. It's stolen wealth from Africa. So that's why you see them not trying to let Africa go at any circumstance, no matter what. They don't want to let Africa go. The cat's out the bag now. That Europe is nothing but a parasite to African countries. It's parasitical. The relationship between Europe and America, Europe and Africa and America and Africa is parasitical. It's a parasitical relationship. Okay? It has nothing to do based on any equality or any fake democracy. It's parasitical. What can we exploit? What can we extract? What can we literally take from these goddamn people? Because their standard of living being bad and pushed on the bottom ingratiates our standard and lifts our standard of living higher. That's the dirty secret.
Okay? This dude There's a recent audio that leaked from him that been making a crazy mark on the internet. I just uploaded it on my TikTok. You gotta listen to what he was saying. Macron is very evil. Macron, he said all kinds of stuff about Macron in that audio. He said that the Francophone country on the continent came together, found a specific name for the currency that was going to be used on the continent. And he also, they are also tunnel from France all the way into Abidjan, Ivory Coast. There is an underground tunnel from France all the way into Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, the capital of Ivory Coast. Now, why would African and land, this Western country, have tunnel under the ground all the way into the country? Do you know the kinds of things that are leaving Africa on a daily basis going to France? Do you know how many trillions of dollars passing through those tunnels? Do you know how many things that are passing through the tunnel? How many information? That's the reason you see terrorism can stop in Africa. That's the reason you see there's always chaos around Africa on the continent. Terrorism always in Africa. Look at the recent explosion in South Africa, Johannesburg. How are we sure it wasn't planned by the West? These guys are building tunnels from all the way France, all the way into Ivory Coast, Abidjan, the capital city. Do you know what's passing under that underground? That's why I tell you guys, I say every day there is terrorists in Africa, but we don't make guns in Africa. There is no factory in Africa where the guns and the arms and ammunition come from. No African country on the continent make guns. So how will terrorists leave the continent? These are the people that are creating the terrorists on the continent of Africa. Mm-hmm. This dude here, Macron, the president of France, Jerry stated that France.
It's not just France, it's the CIA. All these fake terrorists, ISIS, the ISIL, the Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, all this shit was created by the intelligence agencies of the United States, France, England, and Israel, the Mossad. Okay, come from MI6, Mossad, and CIA. All these terrorist groups are them. You destabilize the population and you can steal, rob, and kill. That's what's going on globally, but mainly in Africa. So all these terrorist groups, they put it, every time they find some resources, a terrorist group shows up. Like Mozambique had never had terrorism. So in northern Mozambique, they found a gas and oil fields of numerous money, right? Of immeasurable proportions. And all of a sudden now, Boko Haram is in northern, or is it Al-Shabaab, whatever these fake, one of these fake terrorist groups are now all the way in northern Mozambique. How did they get to northern Mozambique? How did they travel through Kenya and Tanzania? Nobody knew who they were. Now they're in northern Mozambique, right where the oil and gas fields are at. When Mozambique never had any fucking Islamic terrorism, because there's no Islamic population in Mozambique. There was no Islamic population in Mozambique. So the jig is up. It's these people that are doing it over and over. The UN, the EU, America, these other nations have been putting terrorists inside Africa to destabilize. So they've been stealing gold, diamond, cobalt, lithium, coltan, nickel, uranium out of the area for their benefit by leaving people in absolute abject poverty. And they want to come preach to you some fake ass Jesus shit, their fake God, and some fake goddamn human rights to you. These people have never practiced any Christianity and never practiced any human rights with you.
Have a tunnel all the way from France into Abidjan, the capital of Ivory Coast. And he said this guy was very instrumental in putting difficulties in the name that they were that they had selected for the currency of Africa. He went and did all kinds of things with his Western friends and destroyed the entire team. And that happened with the help of Niger former president, and they took the puppet from Niger that they took from there. He was instrumental in helping France. They always have some kind of lead group.
All these puppets have been instrumental in keeping terrorism going throughout Africa. That's why they're puppets. That's why they're kept in power. That's why no one ever says 10 years, 15 years, 20 years that that's anti-democracy. How's it Africa has leaders with terms 20, 30, 40, 50 goddamn years, and you want to call that a democracy? But you know it's nothing but a democracy. It's a mockery of democracy. It's a lie. None of these motherfuckers have been elected. They've been selected. None of them can win a real election. Now, I mean Kagame, no good ass. I mean Museveni. I mean Paul Biya over in Cameroon. None of these niggas can ever win a real election. None of them. They're all selected. They're all put in power to do the bidding of the European masters. They're so despicable. Every last one of them has like some offshore account, offshore banking, have houses in France, in England, in America, in the islands, and they will not develop the country because that's a no-no. Africa is supposed to be kept in poverty. That's the dirty little secret. It is a resource colony to be raped and pillaged. Feel free to call in 850-368-9102.
Go somewhere who greed, want too much money, and they use money to manipulate them to destroy their own people. But you have to watch the audio, you have to listen to the audio for yourself. It's crazy some of the things Jerry Rowland is talking about in that audio.
I know what he's saying.
I don't know why.
Military coup d'etat, military coup d'etat. Do we need a military coup d'etat in your country? Which country do we come from? Now, I see a lot of people saying that only in Africa that we are suffering from bad leadership. No, it's not like that. Every black nation on earth, the leaders are corrupt and wicked. Now, if you go to Trinidad and Tobago, if you go to Jamaica, if you go to Haiti, if you go to Dominican Republic, every country is in the Caribbean. They are also suffering from bad leadership. Not only in Africa. So which country do we come from? Do you need a military coup d'etat in your country? Which country do you think will be the next for a military coup d'etat? Drop your
cross on their own. But when I first started out in the black community in Chicago, I was offered a job at an organization. It was called the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs. It was headed by a white man named Mill Cohen, who recently died, and a white woman who is still active in Chicago named Jane Ramsey. I say that because every time we say a name in front of the hunkies who are here to report on what we say, tomorrow they will report to those people that their names were mentioned. And this is the type of tension we need to put on the enemy. You might not know all who they are, but they'll spend some time defending them tomorrow when we've called their names in front of you. So that will make the offense spend some time defending the things that they have come to offend us about. But what I found out was that the black community in Chicago was being watched. That the only way you could effectively pull off a Holocaust on a group of people in the now society is to try to watch the emergence of them, the organizing and coming together of them, the projection of values and strength by them. Those are the things that the enemy sticks his thermometer deep down into our tongues and up our butts to
always
find out
watched.
what it is and what it is they think they can pull off.
Always
In
be watched.
Chicago, I found this early warning system. It was funded by the United Way. So today I suggest to you, if you're going to stop the Black Holocaust, you're going to have to stop the good hands of the United Way. I say that because, and listen, I'm going fast, so we don't have no time for applause. I bring the United Way up because it was the United Way that formed an early warning system, which is what the spy thing is called, an early warning system. Our eyes and ears are listening post these adjectives. And this early warning system had formed a coalition which was to monitor what was going on in the black community of Chicago. And they went out and empowered 25 organizations to be snitches against the wishes of black people. And even though the goal of this project was to monitor developing racial tension and to take advanced intervention when necessary, listen to the language, they only watch black people. But deep inside the early warning system, I saw people from the Urban League. I saw people from the NAACP. I saw Operation Push.
Some of the usual bootleg puppets that we have in the United States, that no black leadership has not been untouched by white power. So we've been given fake puppet leaders here in America as well as Africa. So you send everybody's seen in there was from these fake black Jewish organizations that never were built by black people. Even here in the United States, it's the same copy and paste shit globally.
I saw the United Church of Christ. I saw many people who I got slightly confused by because I didn't understand why any 18, 20, 30, 50, or $100,000 was worth a person crossing their own people unless they felt that their own people didn't know enough about how they did the damn spying to fear the people catching them. So I started off with a little 2-page document that started to describe how the Anti-Defamation League, and this is I found them in 79. They got caught in 1992, but I caught them in 79. It just took a long time for the people to believe that Brother Coakley was as credible as the district attorney in San Francisco. And each and every one of these brothers up there, I saw huge, extensive profiles of Dr. Collin in that 900-page document that the white district attorney of San Francisco had to turn in to a black judge, to get the right to raid their offices. And when they asked them to raid the offices in Los Angeles to find where this information was duplicated and located, the black police chief wouldn't assume his own authority and transact the raid. They had to call in police from another district because the black man didn't want to defend the names that he saw in the list. Even though there were some whites in there, there were names of black people like those up here who wasn't worth him going to defend. Reason I say that is that we're pretty mad at the white guy, but the white guy we might not see to the last moment. In fact, I had this dream, this fantasy. We got Rockefeller over here, we got Oppenheimer over here, we got Rothschilds over there, and we got the noose right here.
Is that the name?
And
got Rothschilds over here, Oppenheimer's over there. Remember, the Oppenheimer and the De Beer Jewish family run South Africa. They're nothing but underlings of the Rothschilds, Rockefellers. Now understand what he's saying. These are all Jewish power that we're not supposed to know exists. That actually runs this goddamn globe. And if you say anything about it, suppose you're anti-Semitic. I don't know how, but African people are the true Semitics on the planet. No one's anti-Semitic by saying that these are the people that run these banks that print money from nothing. Doesn't have to do with any race or anybody being racist. Either it's a fact or it's not. That's what Steve Coakley's talking about. They've set up institutions to make sure they spy on us and keep us oppressed and keep us on the bottom. And this is globally. It's a global system of black oppression. Same thing he's talking about in Chicago, the same thing's happening on the continent of Africa right now, and it's the same goddamn people. You understand? Macron was a Rothschild banker. Same people that run the French bank, all the money that goes to the Central Bank of France owned by the Rothschilds. So all that stealing and looting and shit stealing from Africa goes back to them. They're also on the British bank. So they are the ones directly robbing and stealing, killing from black people globally. Crimes that have been read out before the people. And I know it was a little white guy here from Australia. He said, "You Steve Coakley?" I said, "No, he went that way." But I turned to the brothers in the back I was talking to, and I said, "You see, that guy, he come over here from Australia because the reason he want to know is that his godfather is Harry, Ernest, and what's the other Oppenheimer, Harry Jr. Those are his godfathers. So when we stand up and say that the man who helped today enslave New Zealand and enslave Australia, and we're talking about New Zealand, we're talking about Mr. Something Else's homeland, Mr. Something Else, who enslaved New Zealand. The same people. See, Steve Coakley's in the same Jewish family, same people that enslaved New Zealand and enslaved Australia. Same goddamn people. Enslave all of Africa is led by the Oppenheimer family. Yep. Yes, they will come from the BBC and the CBC and the Australian News to hear that the names of the monkeys who have hidden for so long are now on the street in DC. They're on the street in LA. They're on the street in Kansas City and Detroit.
And the little people have decided that the big ones are not going to make it.
I love you.
17-year-old Henry Smith was tortured for over an hour and then burned alive before 10,000 people in Paris, Texas. They sold.
Man, that dude look like a rope.
70,000 white.
My brother, my sister, I need us to watch these things very carefully. Africa is gradually liberating itself from the demons. We saw it happen in Mali. We saw it happen in Burkina Faso. We saw it happen in Guinea.
So we're trying to
We
liberate
saw it
ourselves.
happen all over French Africa. 8 in how many years? 1, 2, and a third year, 3 years. My brother, my sister, we have already told you how demonically France has ruled the so-called Francophone countries right here in Africa. France is a very dirty nation, my brother, my sister, led by dirty leaders from the time of Charles de Gaulle all the way up till now. My brother, my sister, this country is not even ashamed of its activities. My brother, a few months ago, I was in France. And I learned
Trump needed to flip if he was.
Did you know conventional coffee is one of the most.
Here's why the United States is still by far overall the best country in the entire world.
Let's start off with science and technology. Out of the top 1,000 scientists.
What about that?
Clock.
The time has come and Africa must rise again. The most noticeable current situations in Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Niger Republic, and Gabon is that the change of governments all have popular support, as the people of those countries are tired of France's imperialism, arrogance, and terrorism. Today, France has the 4th largest gold reserves in the world, and there is no single gold mine in France.
4th largest gold reserve, them in England, but they have no gold reserves in France or England. But their banks are full of gold. And it damn sure didn't come from France, damn sure didn't come from England or Germany and none of these other places. All the wealth of Europe has come out of Africa, stolen, exploited, raped.
These gold mines are all in Mali, Niger Republic, and other African countries. The France neocolonialism in Africa must end. If you may allow me take you back. Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 was undeniably one of the biggest evil summits in modern history. Greedy and racist European colonialists sat down in the German city and divided Africans as if they were sharing bread on a breakfast table. The conference was organized by Otto von Bismarck, the first Chancellor of Germany, at the request of King Leopold II of Belgium, the Western genocidal barbarian that murdered more than 10 million innocent Africans in Congo. Most Africans are not even aware of this genocide in Congo perpetrated by the Belgian colonialists because it is not in our history books written by the white colonialists. European colonialism in Africa lasted more than a century, with only the ancient kingdom of Ethiopia spared because they defeated the Italian colonialists on the battlefield. Trillions and trillions of dollars were stolen from Africa. Millions of Africans were murdered by the European colonialists, and Africans were massively brainwashed that they had no history before European colonialism. The wave of independence in Africa from the 1950s and 1960s did not represent true independence. What actually happened was that colonialism was cleverly replaced with neo-colonialism by the genocidal imperialist barbarians of the West. The massive looting of rich resources in Africa continued under Western puppet leadership. The courageous African leaders who refused to dance to the tune of the European colonialists were eliminated. This was what happened to African heroes Patrick Lumumba of Congo and Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. Congo has all mineral resources except for crude oil. The uranium used by the US regime to make the atomic bombs unleashed on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was mined in Congo. And this is why I want to speak about the French.
The wait is over. The wait is over.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Mr. Tim Swain. This is it. This is our final week in the United States of America. As an update, we have officially sold our home. We're about to sell our car. We moved out of our home, obviously, because we sold it. And we are entering into the final week of our stay here in the United States of America. Before we go down, we purchased our one-way tickets.
Oh, this kid. So you see what's going on in Nigeria right now, and they're trying to get the prince out of there. But supposedly this went against democracy. What you see here went against their fake democracy. See, democracy is supposed to mean the will of the people, but that's a fraud. Any real democracy does not exist nowhere on the planet. Because these people that run the world, democracy ever existed, their schemes and scams would never be voted into existence. The massive mind control they use through their fake stream media, lying in the books that they put in your damn child's curriculum. The erasing of African history and black people literally out of history of the world. None of this shit would be allowed to stand. So you don't live in any kind of democracy nowhere on the globe. You live in a dictatorship. Mass picked as a democracy, run around as an oligarchy. Excuse me, y'all. But the West would tell you what you see right there is not democracy. It's not the will of the people. Our puppet represents the will of the people, not the actual people being happy and want to get your ass out of there and take responsibility for the wealth of their country. No, that's not democracy. That's not our puppet represents democracy. This is what the fucking fake ass West is telling people. That their puppets represent democracy and not the people's will. Because I told you, in Africa, where you got people been in power 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and the West has the audacity to call these things democracy, which they are not. They are mockery of democracy. And when they get their puppets overthrown in a righteous coup, a real coup, not a fake coup like Gabon, they're up in arms. We must restore democracy. And any democracy would hinge on the will of the people. You see, the people are overjoyed. Sadly, people at Gabon, you're going to find out that that coup was a fake coup, orchestrated by the same people that are been fucking up the country. This is water, jibber jabber. Not how dare you? Not no Dr. Pepper.
I have been trapped in Lahaina for the last 4 days. And I experienced firsthand what was going on.
I need to talk about that tomorrow.
What I do is not important. I need to get this message out. This was not a natural disaster.
Exactly. What happened in Lahaina was not a fire, why the trees never burned. But I'm going to talk about that later. Talk about that tomorrow. That was a direct energy weapon that happened in Lahaina, Hawaii. And it was in blue spectrum. Blue light spectrum. Everything blue getting burned up. So we're dealing with a criminal government, criminal media that's trying to wipe out its own people.
This is a very powerful video.
Very powerful video. I cannot confirm or deny anything that's about to be said in this video, but I most definitely want you guys to make sure that you
in Nigeria. France is still trying to silence you. Do you believe that?
Let me put it this way. Maybe I lasted longer than I probably would have based on my views on France. And it's not even my view. It's basically stating the facts.
What about
in
Russia?
terms of what France is doing to Africa.
What they're currently doing.
What they're currently doing and have been doing for decades since independence of the former French colonies, yes.
So what is happening? Because look, the reality is a lot of Americans are not necessarily hearing about what's happening in African nations. 7 of the top 10 fastest growing economies come from Africa, but you also have a significant impact of the Chinese in many African countries as well. And so, do you believe that the government of France still has a lot of control over a number of African nations of their former colonies?
They have significant control over all of their former colonies, specifically 14 of them. Just to give you the highlights of what they did when they were giving the independence, so to speak, to their former colonies, they forced them to sign a document which they are calling the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. You have to understand, on one hand, they're saying we're giving you independence, which turned out to be mostly political independence, but that you also have to sign this document, which is titled the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. So you're going to be independent, but you have to agree to continue to be colonized. So two countries said absolutely not.
Not at all.
We're going to sign those two.
You know why I don't know? Russia and China's not responsible no damn Hawaii. They don't give a shit about no damn Hawaii. These are the same individuals that are trying to get that land. That's why you got the big ass Oprah and the no good Rock. Come on, give them money, donate to them, and they can have the money themselves to rebuild it themselves from their billionaire friends. It's clearly done by the powers that be because it is a blue spectrum being. It has to do with no China, no Russia. The individuals, BlackRock and Vanguard, running that land. That was supposed to be a smart city. That's going to be the beginning of one day smart city. We're going to lock people down, create this smart city. They're going to have, they're trying to set them up all over the world. So those people were never going to sell that historical land to none of these people. So what they did, they burned them out. It's not a fire. Clearly see, it's not any kind of fire. That's why you know the media does not represent anybody in the country or in the world. It's all bought and controlled media by the individuals that run the planet. And there's no doubt that was a direct energy weapon and you some kind of fucking moron. That's why all the blue things did not burn up. Blue cars, blue umbrellas, if your house painted blue. Because that laser is in the blue spectrum. So the same spectrum is the same wave frequency of the color blue. So it's not going to burn anything that's blue. You know, shout out to people that figure that out. Can't call you a tin hat conspiracy theorist all the time. You know exactly that was a goddamn war. And then they're not explaining the government doesn't want to say what happened to kids. See, if this was done by Russia or China, they could say what happened to all these children. You got 200 to 300 children still missing. Where the fuck are the children at? The mayor's not saying nothing. The governor's not saying nothing. And the federal government's not saying nothing. And quiet is kept. You've had clashes with veterans going in there and giving these people relief because FEMA and the Red Cross has been denying relief to these people. That's how you know it's the American government that's doing it. Same kind of 9/11 shit happening again. That's how you know it's the American government involved again. When people are going around FEMA, going around the Red Cross to get these people food and shelter and blankets and whatever they need. It's not by FEMA, not the Red Cross. You guys seen the images of people going up on their little boats and little jet skis going past FEMA to get water. And then you also understand it was the police department barricading them in so they couldn't get out from the fire. The police department in that town did that, barricaded the exits so they couldn't get out of there. So they were burnt up. That's not Russia. That's not China. Now, who gave the order to barricade an exit where these people can escape fire? They were given orders to barricade and keep these people in. Because they wanted most of the population dead, so they could now fight them for the land. Then immediately after the fire happened, you had the BlackRock, these builders from BlackRock and Vanguard coming trying to buy up these people's property because they said no to them. This is sacred land, ancient land. We're not selling it. And since everybody's been so dumbed down in the goddamn fake-ass media that we got, tells nothing but absolute lies and propaganda, people understand we've been attacking. It's another 9/11. You have morons still think 9/11 happened with some dirty bastards in a cave in Afghanistan. You some kind of idiot? This was a direct war on its own people. How you have a fire that raged through a whole town and the trees are still up? Oh, the trees know to burn out all the houses and shit and cars, but don't know how to burn up the trees and then burn up everything that's blue. Wow, this fire's got a mind of its own. We're under some of the most evil shit that we cannot even fathom what we're living in.
Remember Joe Biden said that Russia was a gas station? Remember Condoleezza Rice said Russia will run out of money before Europe runs out of energy? Remember that? I think John McCain said...
Sure, at one point or another, you've come across something like this, praising great Western architecture in comparison to the backwards, primitive mud huts of Africa. And there's generally two responses to this. One being, no, look at that, there's so many skyscrapers. Or two, there's so many structures like this, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe. Which, don't get me wrong, are both completely true. Like, in spite of what the West deems primitive, can we stop ignoring how cool this is? Of course, it goes without saying that Africa...
Here it goes. Here we go with Oprah No Good fake ass. Here we go. This is what you look. I'm trying to find because they're lighting them up. So I'm trying to find a second one of these Oprah videos where they lighten her no good phony ass up. Isn't it funny? Her house never got burnt up. Ain't that crazy? So I wanted to bring this up right here. With the citizens of Oprah and the Rock don't mean no good. Why don't you get some of your billionaire buddies you can rebuild that shit in 3 or 4 months with all your money. You can rebuild that small town. But they're going to come to people who are broke. The economy's fucked up. They don't got any money. They're starving. They can barely feed their families. Beg them for some money there because they know it's not going to go to these people. Go into Rock and Oprah's pockets and some other bullshit. When they can just go do it themselves if they were really sincere. If they were sincere, don't they have some of the billion money? That's Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and all these people that live in Mao too, because that's how you know it's not Russia or China. Any moron tell you it's Russia, China's nonsense. Because Zuckerberg and them got a house there in Maui. Well, they go to them and have them donate to help the city, help rebuild because they did it. They don't want to rebuild shit. It was the stealing of the land. That was the whole objective. Kill as many people as possible and steal the land. You have so many people that are unaccountable that the news is just lying about. There's only you had thousands of people died, family. Thousands. Then you got the fake goddamn news bitch talking about there's only 100 that died, 100 that's missing. You got the 200 to 400 children that's not even accountable for. That have been burnt up. And now they're gating the place up. This is how you know it's the government. Now they're gating the goddamn whole community in so they can pick up shit that you can't film or take pictures of. It's not Russia, not China. These cats with the motherfucking small hats.
Who is she?
Hearing what the locals are saying during Maui City Council.
We couldn't even have our pastor come in and ask us if we need prayer in the very beginning, but Oprah could come in. Who is she? Who is she? They said, oh, she knows the governor. We didn't need her in there in Bowen High. Get her out.
With the tragic events that happened in the Hawaii fire.
Notice all the trees are still up. Look at the trees around these buildings are still up.
These residents attended the Maui City Council to voice their voices and share their frustrations.
Nobody called us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was.
You see that? See the top of that house right there? It's blue. See that house right there? On the left-hand side, it's blue. Everything else burnt up around it, but the top of that house has a blue roof. Because the spectrum, the beam of light, it's in blue spectrum, like I said. See how that house ain't burnt up? Everything around it's burnt up. But that house ain't burnt up. See, that's not a fire. That's direct energy weapon. It's not going to burn anything blue because it's in the same light spectrum.
Us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was still there. There was no water. Tell me if that's coincidence. No water, no warning.
That's all the trees still up. They got a fire and all these trees are still up around the damn property. It's a fire.
Stated that they couldn't watch the news due to power loss. The residents were understandably frustrated at the city council.
Everything beyond the civic center is there, but the homes where we were working, where we're straight.
Their homes are gone and they lost many loved ones. Our prayers goes out to them.
Oprah could come in.
Got to learn to this song. We're here in Jerusalem.
And its former colonial power. After almost filling a stadium earlier in the weekend, demonstrators have been rallying.
That's what I'm talking about tomorrow. You know,
this Sunday.
This fake.
The demands are clear. They want to see the French troops out of the country.
This fake outpouring of love from Oprah is absolutely phony, and she's been called out for what she is. I mean, Oprah's really destroyed. She's no good puppet, right? She's been called out for exactly what she is. You know, so they're taking it to task, talking about a donation, donate to them. For what? You have enough money yourself, you and The Rock and these other individuals supposed to be wealthy. Why should you get money from poor people to help other poor people that are devastated? Aren't you and your billionaire friends, you can fix it almost overnight. You friends with Zuckerberg, Gates, all y'all got property on that island. None of your property got touched. Ain't that funny? What a magical fire. Magical fire. Will Smith's got a house on that island. You can't get no money from him? His house didn't get touched either. It's a magical, mythical fire that doesn't touch people who have money or people that have blue rules. It's magical.
We don't want the French anymore. We don't like them. They say Niger is a poor country, but when we tell them to leave, they refuse.
People are suffering. ECOWAS can increase its sanctions, but we will resist to the death.
So what is your solution, my dear daughter? Let's just let things be. We're going to keep trying. We will keep trying. What happens is if Niger does it alone, they're not going to succeed. Because it's too small a country. It's already fighting against monstrous forces. That is why this moment is calling for everybody to support Niger. We must come together as a continent. We must speak with one voice. If we do not speak with one voice, even those who try, are you trying to say Kwame Nkrumah didn't try? He tried, but he was alone. He was not supported by many African countries. And Africa come together. When African Union and the African Union in the 1963, the Gabon Coup and the Casablanca Agreement said Africa for the African Union now. And we and the others have seen it back in 1963. Africa will be sitting in a different position. So my message to Africans is, any African country that tries to stand up against the West alone without the support of other African countries, they are not going to succeed. Make no mistake about that. We are a tiny little dot in the ocean. But when we come together as a continent, that's why Niger must be supported, Mali must be supported. They have taken a position that is right, a position that is good for the Africans, a position that simply says exploitation of the continent can no longer continue. My daughter, you tell me, are you okay with all our natural resources creating millions of jobs for European kids when our kids cannot get jobs because our natural resources are not getting value addition? Are you okay with that? Do you call that democracy?
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly, Dr. Eric Connor. Do you call any of this nonsense democracy? It's not. It's hypocrisy and it's a mockery of democracy. These Europeans don't believe in no fucking democracy. Understand that. They believe in theft, grab, killing, stealing. That's what they believe in. They come give you the fake ass term of democracy. Democracy means putting their fake puppet in there. That's the democracy they're talking about. If we can put our puppets in for 20, 30, 40 fucking years and then pretend like they won election after election, we'll call that democracy. No, we know it's not. And every one of these no good puppets in Africa, their day is numbered. Because they've willingly been puppets, willingly stealing resources, helping the Europeans get rich, and by willingly putting their people in poverty. You know, that's the kind of fucked up mindset you got. Walk outside, you ain't built any good schools, any good hospitals, any good infrastructure for your own damn people. As Putin called it, a damn graveyard. How can a graveyard develop when all these puppets take all the money, put it in the goddamn European banks, have houses, and send their children to schools in Europe, have houses in Europe, shop in Europe, have medicate in Europe. They only come back to Africa to die. So how can you develop a goddamn graveyard? And none of these despots ever feel guilty. That's how wicked they are. That's how wicked these African puppets are. Their people sit in abject poverty while they steal billions of dollars out of the continent. Billions of dollars they steal. And be president 20, 30 years, they want to give it out to their no good sons or daughters, some crazy shit. Is that the countries are their own personal bank accounts. That's how wicked these Europeans have got these fucking dirty, ridiculous ass puppets in Africa. Is that the country is their own thiefdoms. And they're scared to death, and I love it. But yeah, Kagame and these other puppet ass Negroes with now change their military up because all the lies they've been, all their people love them. All lies. They know that people don't love their ass. They know they want their ass out of there. They've been there 20, 30, 40, 50 fucking years. All the propaganda on YouTube. Told you all that shit's propaganda. We see Kagame fighting the West. That's a lie. He's a puppet of the West. That's why he's in the Congo, in Central African Republic, stealing and robbing for the very same Europeans he's supposedly fighting on YouTube. That he tells you. Every one of these leaders, every last one of them is a puppet. That's why you had the puppet broad who was put in power after John Magufuli was murdered in Tanzania. Come out, please, African generals and military, please listen to us. Don't go against your head of state. Why, you all puppets? Why not go against you? Don't go against your head. We must stop the coups in Africa. See, no one, that's how you know they're all puppets. No one said it's good those coups happened because those other leaders were wicked and the people were oppressed, and now they're coming up out of oppression, now trying to benefit their country's resources. None of these puppets, a so-called African leader, said that. Because I tell you, know, every last one was a puppet. You see these people right here, dancing in the street.
Yes, I do agree and also
See that?
I disagree. First of all, again, going back to the Genesis. Keep in mind.
Them people all dance in the street. You would think somebody would say, thank God the will of the people is now taking hold. Thank God the will of the people is now taking hold. This is true democracy. No. It wasn't these puppets. Oh, this is bad. We must stop this. Because they're scared to death. That's why. They're scared to death.
And that we have walked away. We were meant to walk away from our own traditional values, from our own culture, from our own indigenous ancestral leadership values. We are following their guidebook. We are following their ways of leadership. What kind of leadership tells you this is democratic? What is democratic about France forcing African countries, bullying African countries into giving
its former colonial power?
Damn, hold on. That's Snoop?
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
Oh, shit. Is that real?
Anybody wants to explain.
Is that real right there?
What is this?
Is that Snoop Dogg? Oh, my God. This is crazy.
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
What the hell is going on with this?
Anybody that wants to explain.
I've never. Have y'all seen this?
What is this?
What is that?
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
Wow.
Anybody that wants to explain.
Wow, that's crazy.
What is this?
Oh my God! This. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
There is no France. There is no France without Africa. The day Africa liberates itself from France, France will collapse as a country because France, it is based on everything.
That's what I said, Jibba Jabba.
They don't have anything to offer to themselves.
That's what was that?
Taking from Africa. So please, let's make sure that we plow the idea of African unity. We may not be there when Africa gets one president, but we'll be the ones who have planted that idea amongst our children, and our children will salute us forever.
And reach.
Shoot to kill. Come on, son.
Episode. Let's see. Let's go back. Obviously, so look. Look, there you go.
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
Explain that to me.
Anybody.
Explain that to me.
Explain. Feel free. What is this?
Explain it to me too.
Does anybody care to explain what is this?
Can y'all explain it to me?
Anybody that wants to
explain this shit to me.
Feel free. What is this?
I'm messed up.
There is no France. There is no France without Africa. The day Africa liberates itself from France, France will collapse as a country because a civilization. Yeah.
Fuck the process! Fuck it all! We ain't got something to score 20 goals!
Then Owen.
What happens when you cut up?
Oh my God!
I don't know what else happened.
Set summer in motion with the most fun to drop.
Oh, that's me.
Set some.
This tweet by Dudazila Zuma resurfaced a long-held view by South Africans, mostly black South Africans, on whether Nelson Mandela betrayed black South Africans by negotiating unfavorable economic conditions for blacks, which in turn elevated the economic lives of white people, thus pushing down the economic lives of black people down the financial ladder.
He always was a sellout. That's why he sold
black
out.
people had a better economic life. If Chris Honey led the negotiations, if he had not been killed by Janice Wallace, I don't know, leave a comment on what you think after Julius Malema responds to the same question when asked why Nelson Mandela sold out.
Question. The gentleman with the cap.
Hello, yeah, I support your determination for self-determination, but I want to remind you of something. You know, the ANC had a rule which they weren't going to break.
Okay.
This world is all about branding and marketing. The number one branders in the universe is the United States. They made the United States seem like it's the best place in the world to be. It's the land of the free.
Not this con man ass. Not this con man
I'm going to
again.
find and chase my dreams. We have to be able to tell our own stories. Directors, filmmakers, entertainers, it's going to be clearly, and the press, it's going to be your job to redefine how people think about Africa.
Kenneth, this
in
comment.
Africa.
Là, ici, pour le départ des bases françaises. Parce qu'ils ne pas sans savoir que les bases françaises qui sont ici, ce sont eux-mêmes les terroristes qui nous tuent aujourd'hui.
So they know that France, they know that the Europeans are the terrorists of the country, right? They know that these white people have put these terrorists in South Africa to destabilize so they can steal, rob, rape, kill, and call it democracy. Amazon will take your acorn. Shame on you, Jibba Jabba. You should have known they weren't going to take that shit.
Working with Comcast, we've had 10.
We are aware of the attacks and the threats that have been made. But like we said, notice, we're a sovereign nation. And we will stand for what is Ghanaian. And we also want to make self-notice to those issuing the threats that carrying out those threats will be a high-risk enterprise here in Ghana. Because we will come on the floor of Parliament, use your platforms as media houses because we know you support this bill, and publicize every business that is from that country in this country that operates in Ghana, and call on Ghanaians to boycott them. So if any government of any country thinks that they will sanction any of the sponsors of the bill or the Speaker of Parliament after this bill is passed, they should prepare to pack up and leave our country as well. Because we will also instigate public outcry against their business interests in our country. If they work here, they must respect our laws. Because when we visit their countries, we respect their laws. And until we see them carry out those threats against the likes of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Ukraine, or Russia, Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Russia and China, then they should stay off Ghana. We are committed to ensure that under the guidance of Right Honorable Speaker, we will
Just someday.
So that's the Niger military.
Un ambassadeur d'un pays étranger et il y a l'État accréditant.
You know, the European NGOs and the American NGOs are part of the problem. Some of them thrive on conflict situations, so they don't want war to end. What will happen if war ends? And some of them are also used as spy agencies. They get into communities and they disempower communities.
Yeah, the spies.
This idea that you have somebody who tells you that they are going to feed you and supply you with energy biscuits and to supply you with water and all these other things for the rest of your life is disempowering. Some of these organizations were created for purposes of dealing in emergency situations, and what is emergency has now become permanent. The thing that we must do is to begin to have these organizations disengage. That is not to say that some of them have not done a good job. There are some which, in my view, over the years have done a good job, but they must have an exit plan. They must have a plan which ensures that during the period that they are in different
I can't stand this wishy-washy ass Negro. You can never say some are good, some are bad. No, they're all bad. They're all spy oriented.
They come into the communities and they drive all these four wheels as
You feel it?
This shit's funny. It's funny what? Look at the goddamn women, look at this dude. Shit's funny. Look at the woman.
Foreigners are exclaiming that the Chinese are insane, benefiting the people without considering the cost. After spending 400 billion RMB to build the world's largest hydropower station, the Three Gorges Dam, they weren't satisfied. They've astonishing...
Why was this bar named Ghana Must Go? Many Nigerians, especially the Gen Zs, thought it is just a nickname. No, it is not just a nickname. Something actually happened. It was due to a deportation exercise that happened back in the days in Nigeria. Sit back, relax.
My bottom
was black. The white teen allegedly used racial slurs.
Because this motherfucker will burn you.
But if you don't read no other text on the planet, you need to read this book.
A number of French leaders have admitted that without stealing Africa's resources, France would slide into being a third world country. Here's an article from the Global Times. This article is over 10 years old. And it quotes how both former French President Jacques Chirac and Francois Mitterrand admitted that, quote, without Africa, France will slide down into the rank of a third world country. Yes, both Jacques Chirac and Francois Mitterrand have made that prophecy. Without Africa, France would have no history in the 21st century. Without Africa, without pilfering its resources, France would be a third world country. Imagine that. Just think about how Africa could rise up and look like Norway, right? A mineral-rich area, just like Norway, that exploded in popularity and cost and living. What am I trying to say?
Because of oil and gas discovery in the North Sea in
1969. But
right.
Not cost of living. I'm trying to say quality of life. Prosperity, yes. GDP, exactly. France, just as an idea here, now you know why France is freaking the hell out. France controls the pumping of Gabon's oil, and the uranium goes right into France in order to help them build nuclear weapons.
Or nuclear reactors for the nuclear power plants that France doesn't want to use anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that uranium that's there in Gabon goes right up to France. France simply lined the pockets of the president, giving him millions of dollars, and this relationship has enriched this family for 55 years. And of course, the Bongo family controlled the presidential palace under the watchful eye of the United States and France and other Western leaders. France has 110 companies in Gabon. The U.S. extracts over half of its oil. And nearly half of the country lives in abject poverty. How does that work?
Imagine that.
A mineral-rich nation.
Imagine that.
Norway. Except utter poverty, thanks to Western control. Perhaps not any longer, though, because the country is wildly rich in manganese, diamonds, gold, uranium. Minerals are so important to the country's economy that the entire economy revolves around the country's mining industry. The country is rich in timber, by the way, just like Canada. The amount of timber this country has is phenomenal.
billions of barrels.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be impoverished with poor people.
So no wonder Western powers like France and the United States are scared
poor people
at the prospect of Africa kicking out Western influence in Niger and other countries.
And actually raising their standard of living based on their own resources.
Right. And aligning with the BRICS nations. At the Africa Summit a few weeks ago, President Putin said, we want you to keep your own minerals. You should be able to enjoy your own sovereignty and make partnerships that keep you safe and secure, not be raped by the West. So Africa is lining up some new friends these days. I'm tired of being bullied. And I want to just show you here the amount of crude oil reserves in Africa in 2021 by country. Just leave this up on the screen here. And I want to see if anything jumps out to you here. Look at the names of all of these different countries. And then I would love for you to do just a simple Google search to see how the United States has destabilized or placed troops or is basically raping the minerals of these countries. The list is pretty exhaustive. All of these countries have some sort of Western meddling involved in them, do they not? No one bigger than Libya, which totally destabilized, and the United States, of course, assassinated Muammar Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
So look at the...
Remember Barack Obama told you they were bringing democracy to Libya? You know, they did was brought pain and poverty, stole all their gold. None of that gold's been accounted for. Can you imagine? Gold that's been stolen out of Libya that was never accounted for. Make that make sense. But they said there'd been democracy because he was a terrorist and a dictator. All the lies they tell over and over again so they can extract people's resources and steal them. People that run these goddamn banks globally so they can extract people's resources and steal the real wealth from there. Give us some fake ass claim of bringing somebody democracy. You have open slave markets in Libya today that does organ harvesting and all other kind of wicked shit up in Libya. The place is destabilized, it is destroyed. But it's supposedly been brought democracy. That's a lie they tell you. You've been brought democracy. We had to get rid of Colonel Gaddafi. He was too evil. He's a terrorist, he's a dictator. But the West is bringing democracy while they destroy the country. Countries open, countries completely destroyed, impoverished, open slave markets, organ harvesting on a level that you can't even fathom. On a level that you can't even fathom, family. But that was them bringing you democracy. No one has ever been held responsible for the death and destruction that was even done to Libya, which was an absolute war crime. But they want to tell you about some democracy, which is nothing but a scam. Their spy agencies, their intelligence agency control each one of these countries' election systems. Every election system, they control it. There are no free and fair elections. We don't even got a free and fair election here in America. That's what they're doing with Trump, crazy ass, keep trying to prosecute him and indict him of shit that's really not even a criminal offense because they can't beat him at the ballot box. That's why they want to bring in all these fake ass lockdowns, and we will not comply. We will not comply with these lockdowns and masks at all. We will not be complying with any of these lockdowns and masks at all. So, let me take this video off of here anyway. Hold on. I'll just get my last bit of just talking. Family. Put my thing back on. Turn my smooth jazzy beats back on. So, family, the world has been at war with black people. That's just a fact. There's just some kind of moron of an elite war, and this African people trying to take back their power. The sad fact, you have a division in America that everybody wants to be some big FB or half an Indian, or whatever the fuck they want to be. Now, I've always told that black people around the globe, everywhere from the beginning, we're the oldest race of people. but there still was a starting point. Right? Genetically, we're still African people. Whether you were here for 1,000 years or got here on a slave ship. So I don't know why it's got to be either or, why it's got to be fight and division. So I always know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at division from a psyop trying to stop African people united because they're scared of losing their grip on power. And you can feel the shift under your feet, family. You feel the energy changing as African people begin to rise, come out of the slumber that they've been in for so many years. It's the awakening of a sleeping giant. It has the world scared. We will not back down. We will not kowtow. We will not back down. We will not kowtow. We will not be cowardice. If Europe decides to go into goddamn Africa, it will be European. It'll be the Europeans' graveyard. They don't have the numbers to sustain any military effectiveness in Africa. That's the dirty little secret. That's why they could never beat Putin. That's why as far as they was in their fight, they got their ass whipped. Because they couldn't beat Putin. They don't have the numbers. See, war is about numbers. The youth already do not back none of these puppet regimes that had been installed by the West. Okay? The youth do not back any of these puppet regimes. So if any European boots happen to land in African soil, those youth will be enemy combatants. Those youth will be enemy combatants. So exactly. But where you go, we treat the same way. So they're trying to put this fake division with this Tariq agent nigga and this other cases, like these are agents, family. Whenever they try to work against us being united as a people, no matter what kind of squabbles, whatever kind of minor squabbles that we have together, amongst ourselves, we got to squash that. And what you Africans don't like me, that's a lie. I've been through Africa, I have nothing against you. All these minor squabbles that they want to do because that's divide and conquer schemes that they do. And they prop up their agents on their social media platforms so they can spew this nonsense. But you see the energy is changing. That's why you see there's a love for each other coming back. And what about Alabama? When the cats were fighting in Alabama at that river walkway, that unity was so important. So the African people started to take care for one another's person. Instead of walking away and say, I'm not involved, that's none of my business. You hurt one, you hurt all. What you do to one, you do to all. So if you fight one, you fight all. That's the spirit of us being black people globally. We must defend and protect one another at all costs. That's got to be our first mindset above any and everything. Whatever those small problems we have one another, we put that to the side. There's a bigger enemy that we have out here that's been raping, killing, stealing, and completely destroying us as a people. That should be our biggest objective. How do we get these people off our goddamn back and out from around our necks? That's our number one objective. Not my brother and sister, whether he wants to be an Indian, he wants to be an African, he wants to be a Caribbean. I don't give a shit about none of that nonsense. At the end of the day, we're treated on the world global stage as black people. So we got to move in code as black people of love, respect, honor of each other. Love, respect, honor, discipline of one another. So fam, I'm about to wrap this up. That's been 2 hours. We'll say much love to everybody. Much love to the fam. It's been a good 2 hours, family. I'll be back on twice tomorrow, talking about the Hawaii thing and some other stuff about America, right? What's going on here in the States concerning us. You know, got to switch it up, got to be equal. One thing about Africa, tomorrow's going to be about us, Black Americans. What's affecting us right now? What's happening with us today? So with that, let me say 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I want to say much love to everybody for joining us on the Black High Five Network show. I'm your host, Mr. Black High Five. Say much love and peace to everybody as we sign out. And I say everybody tomorrow, have a good night. As I ring the alarm and say, school's out, stupid. School's out. Much love. Black. Hot. Fire. Come on. We out, family. Much love. Woo! See everybody tomorrow. Shout out to everybody on TikTok. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on Facebook. Shout out to everybody on Rumble. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. Shout out to everybody on Twitter / Periscope or X, whatever they call it. And shout out to everybody on the podcast stations. Black, hot, fire. Everybody on Spotify and all other podcasting platforms. Make sure you go to blackhighfirenetwork.com and join so I can put this up. But Black High Five Network family, don't be afraid to go over the subscribe channel. It's all free. Black, hot, fire. Woo! Black, hot, fire. Black High Five right here. Everybody go to the website. Black Hot Fire. Much love, fam. We out. Black Hot Fire. Black hot fire. We up in there, family. Black hot fire. Come on. And Cammy and them gonna join us again this next weekend. We're gonna wish them back. Black hot fire. Woo! Put it in the pocket. Black hot fire. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Black hot fire. Much love, family. See everybody tomorrow. Everybody have a peaceful night. Take care of yourself. And I'll see everybody same back time, same black channel. But I do two shows tomorrow, so everybody have a good night. Peace. I'm out. Let's get out of there. Let's get off of here.